Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Build Your Copywriting Business podcast. Hey there, Kate.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Okay, and now
I'm
I'm
going to take over. Yeah.
giving up the reins. Kate is in charge today. So, Kate, go for it.
Watch out. Watch out. Everyone, all the listeners just stopped their phones. No. We are talking today about, well, as many of you know, or we've said before, and maybe you don't know, 2022 marks the 10-year anniversary of Filthy Rich Writer and the Comprehensive Copywriting Academy. So after 10 years of Nicki running this business, we thought it would be interesting to talk to her about what she's learned over that decade. Since, yes, she's been a freelancer and a copywriter for more than 20 years, but running a successful business for an entire decade now. So there's lots to learn from her challenges, how she's overcome them, what's next, maybe. We'll get into that. So yeah, without further ado,
Yeah.
let's start, I guess, at the beginning, which I know listeners, CCA students maybe know a little bit about this, but what was the inspiration for starting a business? You had a wildly successful copywriting career. You're making six figures as a copywriter. What made you want to create Filthy Rich Writer and the Comprehensive Copywriting Academy?
Yes, thank you. And thank you for having me as a guest on your lovely
Yes. No, you're so
podcast.
welcome on your own podcast. Welcome to your podcast.
Well, actually, the truth is that you were one of the inspirations because it was 10 years ago that we were working together, or actually we weren't even working together at that point, but we were at a company that had decided to bring on a new brand or start a new brand, and I was the copywriter there, and they said we're going to need a ton of copy for this. There's no way you can do this yourself. You're going to need to build a copywriting team. And so I got the opportunity, hired on some junior copywriters. I poached some writers from the editorial team, yourself included. And as our listeners know, copywriting is a very different kind of writing certainly than editorial writing, but and than any other kind of writing. And so I basically kind of put together a copywriting boot camp, and we would get together, we would talk about principles, we would share copy that we found, copy in the wild that we found, and discuss it, what made it good, what made it not as good, where it could be improved, and kind of went through a copywriting boot camp so that you guys were all up to speed and ready to take on projects. And after we finished that, and you guys are all an exceptional group of writers, so I think that probably gave me gave me some confidence too. But after that, I thought, this is more valuable than just for these four or five people, because the crazy thing about copywriting is it's almost one of the best kept secrets in terms of careers and opportunities, especially for people who love to write, because you can't major in copywriting in college. You might take an advertising, or you might major in advertising, and then there's like maybe a copy class or maybe like a segment of a class, but it's so much more than that. It is an entire career, and there's so much to learn and so much to master, and we certainly keep learning and mastering. And when I was doing this, when I was going through this, and when I was starting my career, I luckily had a little bit of a background because my dad was a marketing director at the time, but he's now retired. But I thought, it would be people, this is a great career. I can teach people how to get into this career. So let me see what it would take to put together an online program and start a business selling people this professional career training. And that's really where it all started.
Love it. So you started the business obviously in 2012.
Mhm.
And I know we've talked about this not on the podcast before, but that it was a little slow starting out. Obviously the CCA now, gosh, I forget where we're at, somewhere between 6,000 and almost 7,000 students that we've taught, which is incredible. But obviously back in 2012, that wasn't the case. So why do you think that it was a little bit of a slower start?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I was brand new, obviously not brand new to copywriting, but I was brand new to digital business. I mean, I have worked at digital businesses for a lot of my career, but starting one myself was new to me. So, I built the initial iteration of the course and put it all together. And I kind of, it's the typical new business owner pitfall is you're like, well, I have this really great thing. If I just
Mhm.
put it out into the world, people are going to buy it and they're going to buy it like crazy. And that's like with anything, that's not how it works. I mean, the
Mhm.
marketing exists for a reason. So that's a big part of it initially. I remember being like, great. And when someone buys the first one, I'm going to do this. And when then somebody, and there's so many other factors to selling something online, to marketing something. The I had no concept of the cost of acquisition, or
Mhm.
like, well, if I sell something for X amount, I'm going to get X amount in my pocket. Like, no, that's not how this works. And obviously that part might not be as interesting to our students, but
Well,
you
it's
know
interesting. I mean, if they're a part of marketing team selling physical or digital product, I think it's good to
mhm,
know and have an understanding that, the
mhm,
company's not making as much as the actual cost of whatever it is they're selling. I think,
mhm.
yeah, that's helpful
Yeah, it's true.
information to know.
Yeah. But I think the bigger, and I guess this kind of goes into it as well, but for a lot of the time, I was very serious about the product and very
Mhm.
serious about training people. And we did have some right away. We had some really great success stories, which thank goodness we did, because that really kind of helped me stay with it, being like, yes, this is valuable. People need this. Um,
Mhm.
but for a lot of it, it was, I was doing it nights and weekends, and which is fine, but I was treating it as a hobby instead of
Mm.
a business, instead of really digging in and understanding my metrics, understanding the cost of acquisition and what was reasonable, and all that kind of thing. And it wasn't really until like 2018 that I revamped where we hosted the program. I went in and re-recorded the program. I went in and I think it was through 2018, and I created a lot of the bonuses,
Mhm.
and I started to really get serious about it as a business, and get serious about ads, and get serious about how we conveyed information about copyright, because if it's a new career to you, you're going to have a lot of questions about it, and got serious about
Mhm.
how and where and all of those, and what information we conveyed to people to help them understand whether or not this was a good choice for them. And that's when it started to really take off as a business. As a training, it's always been, if I do say so
Mhm.
myself, a really good
Really
training.
valuable. Yeah.
But when it started to take off as a business was at the end of 2018, and I kind of put together a sales system that is a little bit different from what a lot of people are doing,
Mhm.
and really dialing that up, finding something that works and then dialing it up, is what has helped us to bring us to where we are today. And
Mhm.
then I also realized that when I needed help, I
I was just
added
gonna ask
wonderful
what
people.
changed.
Yes, then as it started to get bigger, I was like, oh, I can't do this by myself anymore. And so the first person I brought on was Julie, who is now
Mhm.
our amazing media producer, but she started out doing like customer
Customer
service,
service, yeah.
and she started our Instagram program,
Yeah, from
and
0 to
yeah.
mm,
And then I brought you on to help
mhm.
me coach in the group, and then do one-on-one coaching. And then now you're kind of above that, even as, or a little bit removed from the one-on-one coaching, because then we also brought in our fantastic student coaches and created that program, and um, brought on Tracy, who now does our customer service, and Caitlin, and who is our marketing, or excuse me, our operations manager, and Nick, our marketing
Mhm.
assistant, and Megan, who helps us out with design. It's the funny thing is when it comes to business, and this is every business owner I know, you get to this point where you're like, I need some help, but no, I should earn more, and then I can afford to bring them
Mhm.
on. But it is always the fact that you have to bring them on, and then you end up earning more because you have more time and you can do more things. We're talking about, we were talking in a training last week. This has been a busy couple of weeks, but about the concept of bringing on assistants, and when to do that and how to do them, and all kind of that thing. And that's kind of the first step to freeing up some time and freeing up some mind space. And so I've been really fortunate as I've built the company, that I've found fantastic people who care about this, care about what we're doing, and care about our students as much as I do. And it's like the biggest blessing. And I can't tell you guys enough, you, Kate, and all the rest of the team enough, how wonderful it is to work with people who care and who are as inspired as I have been, yeah, and am.
Yeah. In 2018, when you said, you moved from treating it like a hobby to treating it more like a business, what do you feel like changed to have you have that shift in the way you were thinking about it?
That's a great question. I think the first time that I really went like, oh, I I'm always buying trainings and
Mhm.
participating in programs, because the more you learn, the better you become and the more you grow. And I mean, our students know that they are, they have purchased a training and are participating in it. But I purchased a training, and then I went to a live event, and I was interacting with a lot of other business owners and just learning from a lot of other business owners and kind of being in that circle. And I would sit down with people and I would have a conversation and then ask them about their business, and they say, oh, we grew a business to this amount. And I would go like, oh wow, they're just a normal person like me. If they could do it, I could do it. And kind of opened up the possibilities for me in terms of what could be, what could happen, where it could go, and what could it grow to. And I think that was when I started to, it's really hard to put a value on. Maybe it's better to say it's invaluable to be around other people who are thinking big. Like, so I had that event in 2018, and then in the end of 2019, I joined the mastermind that I'm in, that I've been in now for several years over. Was it 2018? Because that doesn't say. I feel like I've re-upped 3 years now,
Time's
somewhere in
there.
there, right? I don't know. It's working very, very hard, but and to get into a mastermind with other people who are thinking big and who want to achieve big things in their life. And yes, you can all get on a Zoom call and share strategy and all that kind of stuff. But it's so inspiring, and it also expands what you believe are the possibilities for yourself. So yes, I did get very serious about the business in terms of tracking metrics, in terms of all that kind of stuff, and investing in ads and tweaking all that and optimizing and all that kind of stuff. But I also, a big part of that was surrounding myself with people who were also doing things like that, and were also thinking of themselves as business owners, and being business owners and being high achievers. And when you're in that kind of group, you feel inspired to also achieve more. And I think
Mhm.
that was definitely a big part of it.
Yeah, I'm curious in whether being part of this mastermind, I can imagine, helped mindset wise just alone, in addition to, I'm sure, the many, many ideas you've gotten from it. But
Yeah.
can you dig into both how the mastermind has helped with mindset, but also, I imagine, with copywriting, for example, when you're just getting into copywriting, you're starting something new, a lot of our students feel imposter syndrome. They feel like they hit that point when they're like, I don't know if I can do it and if I can keep climbing towards this goal.
Mhm.
Did you ever have any of those moments with this business? Because obviously, you'd gone through it as a copywriter, you'd gotten there, and putting you on the spot. So
Yeah.
full disclosure, I didn't give her questions in advance. So as much
Yeah.
as you feel comfortable sharing in
Mhm.
terms of that journey through those mindset shifts, and then how the mastermind kind of helped with that as well.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of funny because I would say probably up until like that end of
Mm.
2018, when it came to mindset, I was like, "Psh, please, mindset, come on, give me the strategies. Let me implement the strategies. You keep your like frou free, woo woo, I believe it kind of mindset stuff." And surprise, it turns out that mindset is really important. Because the thing is, it's like, you can't achieve something if you don't actually believe that it's possible for you. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You can't achieve something if you don't believe it's possible. And just beyond that, because that's just a tiny nugget of what mindset is. And I feel like we need to come up with a better word for mindset,
Mm.
but also the place that you are in your mind. If you're still seeing yourself as someone who doesn't achieve things, or someone who you have to be able to put yourself in this place of like, okay, yes, I'm feeling self-doubt, or I'm feeling, but I know that that's a part of the process, and I know that I'm going to be able to make it through. It really is about putting yourself in a different place mentally. And yes, it's a big part of what I learned in the mastermind, just a big part of being in the mastermind. When you are in a group of people who are achieving, you soak that up naturally. And if they are speaking in very empowered ways, you learn to do that more yourself. But your question of, did I ever feel self-doubt as I was building the business? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Because it was getting out of my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's nothing you're going to do that's worth anything that isn't going to make you nervous, slash maybe even sometimes scare you, with the business the way it is today. In 2021 we incorporated, so we have
Mm-hmm.
our the Nicki K media brand, and we've launched our freelance success framework for people who want to freelance successfully in other. So we've launched the Fired Up freelance brand for people who want to freelance in other industries outside of copywriting. And we have some other things coming up this year. But every time I get to a new level, absolutely, there is a ton of panic. And on top of that, quite frankly, now I have extra panic because I have employees. But it's like,
She worries about us.
I worry about you guys so much. But every time you get to that new level, there's going to be stuff that comes up for you. There's going to be stuff that makes you uncomfortable. And there's going to be, but the thing is that you start to realize that you don't really have a choice. If you give into that feeling, it's going to stop you from making progress, and the feeling's never going to go away. Except on top of that, you're going to go, oh, and then I gave up on myself. Like your only choice when you start to feel those nerves, and you can know, okay, this is part of the process. I know that I'm getting to the next level. I'm up leveling. So I'm feeling uncomfortable because of that. You could know it, but it's not going to stop you from feeling it. The only way to overcome that feeling is to get through it, is to keep taking the action. And it's, I know we say this to our students all the time, but it doesn't get any different no matter where you are in your
Mm-hmm.
business. You still have to, when you get to that feeling, and you will, we get to this feeling here, we'll get to this, I will have this feeling every time we add a new brand. I will have this
Mm-hmm.
feeling every time we add a new employee, every time we get to a new level. I know that I will have this feeling, and I don't relish that, but I know it's going to come. And I know that the only way to get through it is by relying on peers. I rely on the people in my mastermind. And when I'm having days where I'm like, blah, I could go in there and be like, guys, I just need to say this once, blah, and they'll be like, yep, we totally get it. And then I can move on. But definitely, I'm not, you don't want to linger in that. You don't want to go into oh, life is so hard. And you also don't want to be among the kinds of people who are like, oh my gosh, it's so terrible. I feel so bad. You want to be around the kind of people who you don't want to linger in those feelings, and you don't want to make it into a victim thing, right? You feel them and let them feel them. I mean, you can't not feel them, and then let those feelings go, and then keep taking action, because that's the
Mm-hmm.
only antidote to self-doubt and to fear and all that stuff, is to work through it. The only thing. And I wish I could say that there's something that you can do to make sure those feelings never come up, that you feel perpetually confident forever. But I know for a fact that everybody I know too, I know extremely successful entrepreneurs, like multiple 7, 8 figure per year entrepreneurs, and they still get that too. They still, every time they get to a new level, they feel that discomfort. But once you start getting used to, and I'm sorry, I'm going on a little bit of a rant, but it's
No,
it's
it's
been
helpful.
so big for myself
Mm-hmm.
personally and the business. Once you start doing that more regularly, once you start working through those fears, it starts to become almost natural to work through those fears. When they come up, you go, okay, yep, ugh, but I'm working through them, and you get used to exercising yourself, like strengthening those muscles, pushing your comfort zone
Mhm.
boundaries. And they say, or I've heard someone say that aside from childbirth, they're having children, the biggest way to grow yourself as a person is to start a business. And it's the same way with our students who are starting their new copywriting careers. It's
Mhm.
an immense opportunity for personal growth, and it can be scary sometimes, but you'll be so much better as a person every time that you do grow.
Yeah.
Anyway, so long digression.
No, it's helpful. I want to underscore it too, the taking action piece, even if it's small action, because I think people might see you and think, wow, she has employees and a company. And but as you mentioned, that didn't happen overnight. It happened by taking small steps where you decided to focus more on the company, and then you decided to hire and decide to grow. I need support. And so I'm going to hire someone even before you incorporated, which I want to highlight that too, that didn't happen. Then it made sense. Okay, now I'm going to hire full time and I need to incorporate to have blah, 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 and so on and so forth. And so each step was its own, and even incorporating, I'm sure there were steps of like, let me find the person that I need to do this first. And then, okay, what papers do I need to fill in? Each small thing, if you do and just, okay, what's the next little thing I can do? What's the next little thing I can do? And suddenly you look behind you and there's a lot of
Mhm.
things that are done now.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
and
and that's a great point too, because when and any process or whatever, especially with growing business, you're perpetually coming up against stuff that you don't know how to do.
mhm.
Like, no, did I know how to incorporate a company? No, no idea. Did I really know how to hire my
Hire an employee?
first?
Yeah.
Exactly. Did I know how to bring Julie on? She's probably like, no, she did not. Um,
We didn't have an
but,
onboarding process then.
um,
She's so smart
and
though, so
I don't thank God,
roll with the punches.
everybody on the team, thank God you guys are so wonderful. But it's you don't know, and then you get there and you go, oh, I need to know this, so you figure it out, or you find
Mhm,
resources to figure it out. You take courses, or you reach out to professional. I found an attorney, and you get to that point, and then you figure it out, and then it's past you, and then you get to the next thing that you don't know,
mhm,
and then you figure it out, or you find a resource and then figure it out, or whatever. But you're not nobody's born knowing, well, frankly, nobody's born knowing anything, right? But nobody's born knowing how to incorporate a company. So yeah, of course I didn't know it. And I think that's an easy thing to forget too, as adults. And we talk about this, with our students sometimes, that we're like, wait, I don't know how to do this already. No, I mean, because we're not used to learning new things, but this is another great way to grow ourselves as humans. You're going to
mhm,
have to learn new things. So embrace it.
mhm. Well, and how important, and I feel like I know the answer, but I want to hear from you about going back to the mastermind group. I can imagine being surrounded by all of these people. Not only do you have support, but you have people that know things that you don't know, or you have people around you that have gone through the situations that you are now going through, which allows you not to, I imagine, reinvent the wheel so much. I think a lot of us, and I see it with our copywriting students, I see it with myself. It's like, well, I can figure this out. I'm smart. I don't need other people, or I'm a bit of an introvert, so I don't necessarily want to put myself out there and
Mm-hmm.
meet people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I feel like it's so much easier if we
Yeah.
just lean into asking
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
having a supportive community.
Exactly. Exactly. If there are people around you who know, then reach out. I mean, certainly, especially when it comes to the CCA, there's so much stuff in there that
Mhm.
yes, you have access to so much stuff, but at the same time too, yeah, reach out in the community. And it's the same thing with a mastermind. My mastermind peers will ask questions and I'll give some thoughts, or we'll all give each other our thoughts. But then also too, it's the same thing like we giving feedback in the group is when you give feedback, and it's this when I give ideas. There's so many times that I'll give an idea to someone who's asked a question, and then I go, oh, we could actually do something similar to that over here. So it's beneficial for me to share my expertise with my peers. First of all, because it helps them absolutely, and what is it, the something about all the ships rising.
Mhm.
That's very helpful, Nick. Thanks. But I think, yeah, the rising tide makes all the ships rise, something
Yes,
like that,
yeah.
something like that. But then it's also beneficial to me because it helps me step out of my perspective and my business and talk from a more global place of advice and strategy. And then I can grab that and take it back in. Yeah. Yeah, it's the in talking about masterminds, this is part of why we created
Mhm.
our own mastermind, the CCA Next Level, is because I wanted to create that same opportunity for our students with a copywriting expertise, not just a mastermind, but for people who are in the, so yes, building their business and building, and mindset and additional ways to hiring assistants and digital products
Mhm.
and all that kind of stuff that can enhance your copywriting business, but also from that perspective of building that business as a copywriter. And I wanted them to be able to have that same experience of feeling up leveled and feeling of being in the room with other people who are high achievers and sharing that experience, and it's we called it Next Level because it's the next level. The CCA is I'm so proud of that program and so
Yeah,
proud of
there's
everybody
so
that's in
much in
it.
there.
Our students are amazing and they're so hardworking, and the CCA is great, and it will give them everything they need if they want a 6-figure per year copywriting career.
You
Absolutely.
gave me almost a 200K career with the CCA beta, so imagine what you can do with CC now that it has 22 bonus courses.
Yes.
Our beta version was not a 22 bonus
No,
course.
it was not. No,
Wonderful.
you gave that to you. I gave you the
Thank you.
initial training. You took all the
That's
steps, and it's the same thing with our students.
Yep.
But the CCA will give you everything you need for that career. But if you want to take it to the next level, in terms of I want more of my business, I want more time, I want more flexibility, I want to be able to bring in income without direct one-to-one services, and I want to maybe take it beyond of just me providing this, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And on top of that, the mindset and the up leveling that comes from having these higher level conversations and being part of that community, um, that's I'm so glad that we decided to move forward with it, because it has a lot to offer. It just has a lot to offer. It's I mean, how many times we go back and forth, like, we're calling it Next Level, should we just call it Next Level? Internally we're calling it Next Level. And it's kind of lazy, but it just made sense to us because it was the next level. If you want to go to up level, that was the place to go. Anyway, but no, masterminds are crucial. They it's like I said, it's hard to overemphasize, or it's hard to emphasize enough, um, what it means to be in the room with other smart people. And um, in our mastermind, the woman who runs ours was saying that Stacy was running ours, and she says she knew she had to move to a new level when she was the smartest person in the room
Mm.
at the other thing that she was in, because you never want to be the smartest person in the room. You want to have other people to learn from and other people to give you input. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's communities are important. Yeah.
Mhm. I think
Yeah.
it surprises a lot of our students too. I always love hearing that. They're like, I didn't realize that I needed and wanted this support.
Yeah. Yes, well, it is, and I can
Why
tell
go
you,
it
as
alone?
exactly, as a copywriter and or as a business owner, I it's both things, right? If you're a copywriter and you don't have other copywriter friends, it's the same thing to be a business owner. And it's not that I
Mhm.
don't have outside of my entrepreneur friends, before I had my entrepreneur friends and the mastermind and the course and all that kind of stuff. Um, Being a business owner, like being a copywriter, it's a very distinct experience.
Mhm.
And I can talk about it to friends, but they don't have that same level of understanding as when I can say something to my business owner friends and they get it. And it's the same thing with our copywriting students. They can talk to their friends or their loved ones and be like, "Oh, I had this going with the client, and this is," and your loved ones, your friends can be like, "Oh, yeah, I can see why that would be frustrating or whatever." But your copywriting friends, your copywriting community gets it. They get how big the wins are, even if it's like little wins. Like, I sent my first invoice. Someone who's not in the community might be like, "Oh, all right, well, good for you." Like, super, thumbs up, on to the next topic. Whereas a copywriter who knows what it means to actually send your first invoice to get paid for your first project would be like, "Yes!" It's just it's important to have people who understand you and who cheer for you and support you. And it's just really important.
I'm curious, as a copywriter, but then writing copy for your own business,
Yes.
just to underscore how important messaging is to building a business.
Yeah, it's the important thing. I get interviewed on podcasts periodically, and I talk with other business owners. And when I say, yeah, messaging is the most important thing, the podcast, the business owners will always go, yes, that's what we're always trying to tell our students, their business owner students, because messaging is the most important thing. You can have the most amazing product or service or whatever in the world, but if you can't convey to people why it's so amazing, nobody's going to buy it. And you can have like the prettiest pictures, the swankiest website, but if it doesn't actually say anything, or if you go, "I don't even know what this is," then nobody's going to buy it. But I always say, if you could, but on the other side of the coin, if you could have just a blank white page with black text on it, but if that copy is written well, people will buy. Messaging is the most important thing. And I will tell you too, that is the thing, and our students should hear this, that is the thing that most business owners struggle with. The vast majority of business owners struggle with this. And it and it doesn't have to be that way. Like, well, first of all, hire a copywriter, but there are also so many things that you can do that are quick wins for business owners that prove your worth and also make them so much more interested in investing in you. Like, I was talking to my friend Michelle, and she was putting together an opt-in page for a training, and she said, I'm looking at my numbers and it's just people aren't opting in at the rate I want them to be. And I said, all right, we'll send it along. Let me just take a quick look at it. Because I will, to my friends, I will offer some free advice, because they do the same thing for me. It's not a pick your brain situation by any means, very reciprocal. And I said, all right, here's what I would do for your stuff, or here's what I would do for your headline. I would change this up here, and I think your button needs to be a little clearer, and little tweaks. And she made it live, and she came back. She's like, oh my God, the opt-in rates doubled, all that kind of thing. And for me as the copywriter, it was a very little thing, but it made a huge difference for her. It will make a huge difference for her business. And think of all the people that she's going to help because they get into this training. So as copywriters, we can't underestimate the importance of what we do. And also, don't be afraid to go out there and pitch your services. I mean, really, this opt-in page was a great opportunity. We say sometimes, don't work for free, but you can offer, like, let me
5 minutes of advice.
exactly 5 minutes of advice. So
Makes
you're not. And then, when someone sees, like, oh wow, this one tweak doubled my opt-in rates, then yeah, they're going to be so much more interested in working with you. Again, don't work for free, but like 5 minutes of advice. Or when we say, like, you're in a Facebook group and someone says, I don't know why my page isn't converting, when you go, okay, you know what? As a copywriter, here's what I would recommend. Let me know how it works out. Because not only is that business owner going to benefit, but especially in a Facebook group, exactly. Everybody else is like, whoa, look at that. And they click over there, they see who you are, they go click over to your Facebook business page, they click to your website, they get in touch with you. And yeah, it's be helpful, be value oriented. Yeah.
So 10 years. What's the next decade look like, Nicki?
What's the next decade? The next decade. Well, the funny thing is it has we have grown. I feel like we grow and do so much more every year, and not just
Mm-hmm.
the Nicki K Media company. It's, when I think of what we have accomplished in the company over just the past 3 months, let
Mm-hmm.
alone the past year, it
It's
gets
wild.
bigger, and it gets, yeah, and we just more offerings and more things, and we find more ways to support our students, and we find more opportunities to share what we know and teach and help people. It's it's funny. I think that it's dumb actually when I say it out loud, but when I started the business, I was like, all right, I'm going to start a business. I'm going to sell copywriting training. And I think it just never occurred to me. Again, I'm going to say this out loud and you're going to be like, what an idiot. But it didn't occur to me would what the outcome would be. Like
Mm.
it didn't occur, like when the first student emailed me to be like, oh my gosh, I got my first, because this was before we had a Facebook group, but like when the first student emailed me to be like, oh my gosh, I got a job doing this, or I lost this job and now I got this job, and I could do this, and I'm a professional copywriter now. I kind of went like, oh, oh yeah, it's not just about selling a course, it's about actually helping people build careers. And I think if it had just been about selling thank God I figured that out relatively early. If it had just been about selling a course, it would have been like, I know I sell this course, like hop into whatever is the new hip digital thing. But because it's about, and our students are so fantastic, and they care so much and they work so hard and they support each other, and it is the most fulfilling thing. Again, it's so dumb that it was a surprise, but it's the most fulfilling thing to be a small part of people changing their lives, of people taking control of their careers, and of people deciding to invest in themselves and make what they do for a living a priority, and make how they feel about their career a priority. And it is like the most amazing blessing to be some small part of that, and to see where people take this, and to see what they do, and to see, it's the coolest thing. And I want more of that. I want
Yeah.
more of that for our students. I want to help more people in more ways. And that, as we think about what we're doing with the next 10 years, like I can't we have some ideas, some stuff we're working on, but I couldn't possibly tell you exactly what it's going to be. But I will say that me and the whole team, I speak on behalf of the whole team,
You do. Yeah.
we're focused on that, on helping people take action, and helping people take control
Mm-hmm.
of their careers and their lives and their minds, and helping people achieve what they want to achieve. And I think as long as we stay focused on that, which I have no doubt that we will, because it feels so good,
Mm-hmm.
um that as long as we stay focused on that, we will always be proud of what we offer, and always be proud of what we put out into the world, because it's about helping and empowering people first. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you to our CCA students who continue to share their wins of all sizes, completing foundations course, launching your portfolio and putting it out into the world, telling your friends and family, landing your first client, hitting,
Mhm.
big months, all of it. You have no idea how much when we say that buoys us, like it truly does. And
Yeah.
we share some of our favorites during, not favorites, but share, handfuls
Recent
during,
ones. Yeah.
yeah, in our company meetings, just again, to underscore Nikki's point that that's the focus. And it truly does, I think, fuel us to keep going, because we all have days like everyone. We're not immune to days of like, it's what we're doing matter. Are we doing? And then it's like, oh yeah, no, it really does. So
Yeah.
thank you all for sharing those.
Yeah.
Um, I know 10 years is a long time, and you've hit on some amazing points here, which, everyone listening, please go back and take notes, because there's a lot of good advice in here. I'm going to do the same. But if you could sum up in some way, I'm not going to say one or five or however many tidbits, but some of your top, I think, takeaways that continue to keep top of mind as
Mhm.
you run and look to grow a business? What are some of
Mhm.
the like most key, whether it's a skill or a mindset thing or however you want to take that?
Yeah, I think this is something that have to regularly keep reminding myself of. But figure out what you want, and it
Mhm.
sounds so simple, but figure out what you want, and then keep going after it. Just keep going. You know, we say in the CCA that the consistency and persistence are the biggest things, and that's true for just about everything. That's true for business, that's true for fitness, that's true for love, that's true for it's
Learning a language.
learning a language. Figure out what you want and then keep going, because there will be roadblocks. There may even be moments where you are tempted to think that you failed. There likely will be moments where you say, I'm not sure I can do this. It still happens to me in this point in the business, where I go, this is really hard. I can I keep doing this? But you just keep going. If someone can do it, then it's possible for you to do it. You know, the I forget who said it first, but most people stop for 4 feet from gold or something like that. Like, most people stop
Yeah.
right before they break through, right before their success. But if they had just kept going,
Mhm.
they would have gotten there and then gotten to their next level. And all it when you will feel discouraged. And if you're doing something that matters, and again, business, copywriting, but if you're doing something that matters, at some point you will feel discouraged. You will feel doubt. You will feel procrastination. You will think like, oh, maybe I'm not meant to do it. Just keep going, because if you
Mhm.
keep going, and yes, maybe sometimes you have to tweak the way that you're doing things, or reassess the way that you're doing things, but if you keep taking action, keep doing it, you will get there.
I love that. It reminds me
Mhm.
of, I'm going to get some of this wrong, so we'll have to fact check it. But I believe it's some sort of explorer, and he was in Antarctica, and he said the reason why and I believe maybe one other person, either him and a team, survived was that they were out in cotton snow, whatever, they were a long way from wherever they had to get back to. But every time that they were walking and trying to make progress forward, he would take one extra step and tell himself, like, okay, I want to quit now, but I'm going to take that one extra step. And that one extra step is what saved them. So however many days they were out there, each day and each time walking, taking that extra step, it
Mhm.
saved their lives. So I feel like that's what I try to remember when I'm like, I just want to quit. Do one more step, whatever that step
Mhm.
is.
Yeah,
So,
that's smart. I like that.
well, thank you so much for sharing so much insight and 10 entire decade. Congratulations too. And thank you
Thank
for letting me be part
you.
of the team.
Thank you. This is one of those, like, 10 years is a long time. It's like, I feel like I just started 10 years. It's
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
not that long of a time. Surprise. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
It's
Well,
been
and
cool to see where it's come from. So I can only imagine even in a couple of years. So yeah.
yeah, well, and I thank you, and I none of this would be possible without our amazing team, without you, Kate, without all of the rest of our team members, and it wouldn't be possible without our students who
Mhm.
are working so hard every day and sharing their wins and asking for support when they need it. There's this is it's so the company is Nicki K Media, and sometimes I'm like, why did I do that? Because it's not by any means a one person endeavor. It's all of us coming together and working together. And so thank you, and thank you to all of you for being a part of this. It's amazing. I can't believe we've been doing this for a decade,
Yeah.
and I can't wait to see where, like Kate was saying, where the next decade takes us. It's
Yeah.
thrilling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. And with that, thank you all. And we'll catch you in the next episode. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Like what you heard? Hit subscribe so you never miss a video. And if you're ready to take the first step toward becoming a copywriter yourself, sign up for a free video training right here.